Hello everybody, my name is Blazing and welcome to Mario Kart Wii CTGP Rate That Grand Prix. Yeah, it rolls off the tongue really well, doesn't it? But in the last episode, you guys remember we did the Blooper Cup, which got a average rating, I think, of let me check. I actually got it up here right now. It got a cup average of 27.3. Which is the only real cup that's competing right now because it's the only cup that's been done. So, today's cup is going to be different, but first I'm going to get you guys into the combination today. Today's combination is going to consist of, as you can see on the screen, Birdo in the Nitrocycle. Now, what's interesting about the Nitrocycle, fun fact, is it's differently named based upon region. It's called the Nitrocycle here as a UK person in the EU, but over in NTSC versions in America, it is called the Sneakster. I don't know what the difference was. I'm intrigued to know. If you do happen to know, comment down below. I'd really like to know what the reason was. I could probably do a quick Google search and find out, but you know, I always wondered why it was different. So as you can see, today we're on the Mega Mushroom Cup, which consists of Aquania, Asda, of course. I'm going to pronounce it Asda and not pronounce it ASDF because, you know, Asda movie, you know, Athletic Raceway, and Aura Metropolis. So what would be intrigued to know is, will this cup beat out the Blooper Cup, which came before? We shall soon find out. But as a reminder, you guys, if you do want to know how this series works, I will play all 4 tracks of the Grand Prix and give them a rating out of 10 for 3 different categories. Theming, which is to do with the overall idea. Does it stick to one theme, or does it have 2 themes that may work with each other? Is it a racetrack that actually makes sense in the environment? And does it have a good environment in general? Its replayability value, which is the second category out of 10, which is to do with how good is this track built for multiple vehicles, carts, bikes. Is there any jankiness to it? Is it polished? And would it be fine to replay in any vehicle, mostly? And replayability. Does the track get me excited to play it again? Would the track bring me back again? Or would I scoff, or would I have an issue with playing it again? And that can also be impacted on whether or not it is playable as a track for karts and certain off-meta picks, such as outside drifting bikes. So, oh yeah, something else to mention. In the category of theming, if the track is a remake of a already existing Mario Kart track that's not in Mario Kart Wii, then it will be judged on its recreation and any additional features in which can make the track better or worse. So, I think I've explained it well enough, but without any further ado, let's get into it, shall we? The Mega Mushroom Cup. Let's go. Of course, this is still running on the Nintendo Wii console and is running on a homebrewed Wii, like it needed to be homebrewed in the first place, but that may impact performance, it may not. And of course, it is open to mods in the future. I'm not judging it, of course, based on music, because of the fact that the music is custom added by me, so it doesn't have an impact. So, let's get into Aquania. I thought that kind of got me nervous for a second because the Sneakster's not entirely great at its drift stat. It's good for its speed though. I knew that was coming, but that's a tight corner. I don't feel like I feel like you'd fall off if you didn't know it was coming, but it wouldn't be too much of a problem, I don't think. I can definitely see why some of these are sticky roads as well, to make sure that you don't just fly off of the edge of a corner and not have any control over it. I didn't know that was canon, but hey, not an unwelcome feature. This underwater theme is actually quite nice. The bubbles are really cool. The seaweed and the clams and all that stuff are really cool too. Slash oysters. Of course, the cheeps are in the background. That's really cool too. Of course, the city sort of theme is an interesting choice. I don't think I'm against it, but at the same time, it feels, I don't know, something about it makes me think maybe it doesn't need to be there. But it is a touch. I can see why it would be barren without it. Unlike track from the last episode to mention would be Abyssal Ruins, but Abyssal Ruins was in an abyss and it was ruins, so. Also want to point something out today that I didn't point out in the previous episode is by no means am I saying any of these tracks are terrible. Because, honestly, respect to the people who can create custom tracks. I'd love to create my own custom track, but I have not the Blender knowledge. Because Blender confuses me to Kingdom Come. Probably alternatives to Blender, but you know, that just seems to be the universal one of choice. You know, this track felt more comfortable in the yeah, this started to feel real comfortable. That was very quick too. Only a 2-minute 39 race. While mostly I usually expect races to be like 3 minutes 30-ish. That went well. So, onto the ratings. So Aquania, the theming, the underwater theming, was quite cool, actually. It definitely made itself known as like a deep sea sort of underwater course. Nothing felt out of place. There were a few textures here and there that were like, they don't seem to merge, and it just feels like it's just placed there for being placed there. It's not terrible, so I'm not gonna mark it down. The buildings, I don't know. The buildings felt okay. The buildings being there, they're a feature. They're just there. Besides that, it just feels like a solid track in its theming. So I'm gonna give its theming a nice, let's say a nice 3/4 of the way with a 7. Functionality, don't think I can name a damn issue with it. A few sticky roads felt a bit weird, but they were there to prevent you from falling off, and at least seeing the corner a little bit better that you had to do, because some of those corners were a little bit tight. The cannon, you never saw the cannon coming, but that's okay. Some tracks do that. I feel like with carts that I feel like you'd get a varied experience with the carts because of those corners, but I wouldn't know. So for functionality, it feels okay. It feels okay. So I think the functionality, I'm also going to give it a 7. Replayability. Now, replayability, I don't think I'd have an issue with that course because it was so quick. There's not really much to get excited about, it's just a solid course. Solid track. Which is right down the middle. I wouldn't hate it by any means, so I can't give it any less than a 5. But at the same time, it just doesn't feel exceptional. It's just a, if it gets voted, I'd play it, but I wouldn't be one to vote it. So, I think this one is convincing me to go 3 7s. I think I'm going to give the theming, the functionality, and the replayability all at a 7, because it feels like a 7 track, which, in all fairness, I've got to give it that. It's a consistent track. So, let's get on to the next course, which is the Aztov course. Shall we? I'm also going to use some of the camera angles to like get more of an idea of the theming, at least set an initial sort of theme and idea. Huh. I couldn't tell what this course is about just by looking at anything. It doesn't look like a long course either, because those 5 laps probably do make sense then. These wall textures are a little bit... These wall textures are really... they're really, like, squished. The road isn't too bad of a texture. And that's a lap. Okay. I don't know, these walls, it just feels like it's a race so far. But at the same time, this feels like a baby parkour deal almost. These roads are very wide, so no vehicle would have any issue whatsoever. That's instantly coming into mind. Some of these, like, item box places are a bit odd. I don't hate them, but they just don't stretch the entirety of the road. Which you think they do. Oh my god, I got the 1-2 combo. So that's what the Nitro Cycle is good for right there. Ah, it came from the side. And to be fair, I didn't really get the banana out on in time for it. I just hit that wall because of my own lack of awareness. Oh, good lord. There's not enough time to really use this item box before the end. Okay. Okay, Asda, of course. Came second. Race didn't go too bad. Now, let's get on to the rating, shall we? Theming. What theme? What theme was this course ever trying to achieve? Of course, the sort of black and yellow was the sort of colour scheme. That's okay. The textures on the walls are really iffy. You can see just by watching it, like, in some areas it's really like out and stretched out, and then in some other areas it's really pushed in and sort of cramped. This track, it's like a Baby Parkour deal, but there's no Baby Parkness to it. Baby Park actually had like a theme, you know, a sort of theme park sort of idea. At least that track is accepted by Nintendo because it has a sort of good theme to it. So at least while it's hectic, you at least get a good scenery as well. So, I've got to be honest, this might be my first rating of the series already that is under a 5. The theming for me is gonna get... It's gonna get... It's gonna get a 3, I think. I don't feel its theming was even there. I could give it much lower, but at the same time, I don't want to be too harsh on it. It at least had some sort of colour scheme, and that's really much all I can give it. Onto functionality. So, this track, I don't feel like any vehicle would have an issue with it. That's a good thing. It functions splendidly. The item boxes are the only small gripe I have with it, even though I don't find myself not getting them. It feels like there should have been more of them along a wider area. I understand that that can be a bit of an issue for, like, sort of being at the back and bagging items. So its functionality is actually its best factor, and by a good shot. It can also hurt the eyes a little bit, but I don't feel like it's too painful or too distracting or too bad where I think, oh, playing this over and over again would really hurt. It would hurt over a really long period, but there's probably worse tracks out there that would be culprits of such. So the functionality, I'm going to be honest, I'm only going to give it 1 point off. As of course's functionality, yeah, I think I'm decided. As of course's functionality is going to score a very high 9. I don't feel like you would have many issues actually playing the track. Replayability. I'm torn. I'm torn 2 different ways. It's going to get high marks because of the fact... It's going to get high marks in this category because of the fact that it is very functional. It is. There's only tiny gripes about it. If this had a sort of texture and theming, it would be a very solid track. At the same time, it doesn't even have really that many shortcuts, if any at all, which kind of takes away from the excitement of replaying it, which means it's just a case of who can race it the best, and not so much of like the small people who can think, well, not the small people, but the people who can think, okay, this is a mushroom shortcut, I'm going to take advantage of this and get ahead because I've been screwed over by items. Which basically means you can, if you got screwed over by items, you can find yourself in the back and not really have any way to recover. Even with the best items, like mushrooms and stars and mega mushrooms and... Okay, bullet bills are the only exception, because bullet bills will just put you at the front anyways. So... okay, thanks, controller. It hasn't been that long. But replayability, I think, is gonna get... It's gonna get a 7. I feel like it's gonna get a 7. And with that, let's get on to the next course. Of course, at the end, you guys can see the averages for the courses and which are the top courses and which are the best courses and which are the best Grand Prix overall. So let's get into the next race, which is Athletic Raceway. Oop. You ever just drop a controller? And then everything comes crashing down. This seems to have like a sort of sports stadium sort of vibe to it already, from the camera angles. I kind of like it. Ooh, the frame rate though at the beginning. I'm not going to hold it against it too much. Okay, we're riding through a... Is that... it looks... It's not a volleyball. Is that a volleyball or badminton? I think you can actually drive through that little gap if you had a mushroom. That'd be really cool. This doesn't feel bad. Can I use this? This little shortcut? Oh my god, I can. That's actually neat. I love how you go through the little like goal in the soccer sort of part. And look at the seats in the background. Like the background is actually really cool. I think this track has a really nice like sports theme, and it definitely sits to that theme that I was originally thinking from the camera angle. It would be like a sort of sports stadium sort of thing. Oh, there's water rising. Does that mean that the water's going to become dangerous at some point? Usually, like, the thing to go by if the water gets, like, darker, like a darker blue, that's when it becomes, an out-of-bounds section. I didn't do that the right way. I should have put the wheelie up. It's okay. We're front-running really hard. The AI aren't the best at this. It's either that or the Sneaks is just destroying, which I'd be inclined to say the Sneakster is probably destroying, because I'm keep calling it the Sneakster even though it's an Nitrocycle in here. Let's check. Yes, okay. That is cool. That is a nice little feature, actually. The fact that that little pool changes. Because like I feel like the first time going through it, you'd actually have an issue. Also, the Pokies and the Goombas going through the little court over there is really nice. Yeah, so that is a mushroom shortcut that you can take. Okay, that is really neat. That's a really neat addition. What is it? Okay, that ramp, that's a nice shortcut ramp as well. That's just me messing up. I'm not gonna hold. This is nothing with no issue with the track. I'm adventuring, and by adventuring, I'm playing bad. Like you would any track, really. Oh gosh. Okay, that ramp's not meant to be mushroomed. That corner is a bit scary at times. Oh my god, what a place to get shocked. Okay, I'll take the second place. For how badly I drive that. Drove. How badly I drove that went really well. Okay. And that was Athletic Raceway. You know what? I'm gonna... This is a solid track. This is a very solid track. Theming? I love it. I actually really love it. The sort of stadium feel. Nothing, at least in the design, felt out of place for a stadium. Maybe the one or two things, like the fountain, but even then, that's being picky. Like the little tracks, the soccer fields, to the little court, the little courts with the Goombas and the Pokies are really cool. Of course, you got to put some obstacles in the way, otherwise it wouldn't really be difficult at all. So I wonder what would happen if you like retextured the Goombas and the Pokies or made them something else, so it'd be a little bit more realistic. Of course, the rolling around soccer ball is actually a neat feature as well. The theming for this track is very solid. So you know what? The theming for this track is gonna get a... It's gonna get an 8, I think. Functionality. I don't have any issues. I don't have any issues with the functionality. Of course, knowing what's what always comes with playing a new track. Either custom track or actual Mario Kart track. It's going to be things that you will and won't understand the first time you play it around, but the more you play it, you'd actually understand. This is a track that I feel like would play out in the same way as a Nintendo track. If you'd have to play it maybe 2 or 3 times before you understand the ins and outs of it. And that's not a bad thing. Its functionality is very solid. I feel like most, if not all, vehicles would handle this course without any issues. Even karts, like, I don't feel like outside drifting anything would have an issue. Which, you know what, adds to it as well. The FPS issue at the beginning was a bit of a iffy part, but that might just be my console. It is a newer Wii as well, but I feel like that newer Wii maybe works against it. So its functionality, I think it's also going to get an 8. Now, replayability. Ooh. Ooh. If you told me this track was being played like 4 or 5 times in a Grand Prix, I wouldn't complain. I just wouldn't. I'd play this track many a time over. And I'd be happy to play it many a time over, because I feel like there's many ways it can go. The shortcuts keep it exciting as too. So it means that people from behind do have a chance to catch up. There's plenty of shortcuts, there's plenty of opportunities to get good items if you go out and venture enough. And there's plenty of paths to take. The water is a cool feature as well. That's a neat thing. Which means you can take that little water fountain, that little water pool shortcut at the beginning. That is cool. So, I really think I wouldn't have an issue playing this over again. So, I feel like, genuinely, the replayability of this track, I'm going to give it a 9. I think its replayability is fantastic. So, let's go on to the next track and last track of the cup, which is Aura Metropolis. Shall we? And then I can calculate everything after the video and update all the lists as we get into the closing of the video. However, your question for the day is, who is your favourite character in Mario Kart? And which Mario Kart do you feel like they perform best in? This doesn't have to be a meta choice. This can be any character that you like to use. Personally, I'm a fan of both Luigi and Yoshi. And honestly, I feel like both of them do really well on Mario Kart Wii. Mario Kart Wii just gives me good memories. What can I say? Anyways, get your comments in down below for that question. I'd love to see what you guys think. So, next is Aura Metropolis. Let's get into it. I'm instantly getting like a Tron vibe or like a dystopia sort of setting. Okay. This track is super duper dark. Whoa, I didn't even know that was coming. Okay. Those sticky tracks are working against me. Okay, so I need to drop down there. Understood. Like, even on the actual, like, capture card view, this is still really dark. I didn't even know that was a ramp there for a second. Okay, so those are ramps. With those, oh, they're sort of see-through, like, laser ramps. I mean, it is cool, but it got me confused for a second. An outside drifting bike would have an issue with that right there. And that's a lap, okay. It's a very, like, average-sized track. Okay. That part is a little bit annoying. I don't even know where I can and cannot take a shortcut because of how dark it is, even on the brightest view. I can see it's trying to be helped by the little like blue outlines on the side of the track. But I feel like that could be resolved by like not having something blend in. Damn it! Nice power block. They called me a bozo because I just took an L. This part is... Am I just not allowed to drift there? Is that what makes that worse? Okay, so drifting there is not allowed, and I don't like that. Because I don't have an issue with what is most of the rest of it. If I'm having issues with this if I'm having issues with the track like this on the Sneakster, outside drifting bikes be damned. Well, come on. There goes my bullet bill, and I can fall now. Oh, good lord. And the fact that in that position I have to drift to make it work is also a really dumb idea. Okay. Okay. Or Metropolis. We still came out on top in the GP. But, we're gonna get back to the menu real quick. Then I can comment on what I felt about Aura Metropolis. Now, Aura Metropolis. Let's start with the theming. Also, we always start with the theming. So to start with the theming, you know what? The theming was good. The sort of like Neo City sort of thing. It's not even sort of like a Neo. It's more like a Tron sort of thing. Sort of simplistic with like a sort of darkish but sort of like a bluish sort of outline. It's really cool. There's a lot to see, and it was actually really pretty. Nothing felt out of place. There was a few textures here and there that I could realise they kind of don't overlap too well or blend too well. But to ask that they blend is a bit of a picky thing. It was a cool theme. I gotta give it that. I can't really fault it. I feel like it was a good idea. So the theme's gonna get a 7. Now, functionality. There's a lot to mark down. The parts where specifically you can't drift are not obvious. Especially that corner that I fell on, like, all 3 times, pretty much. It's kind of diabolical. Then having that part on the end where if you don't drift, you'll just hit a wall is bad, considering that's still being played on an inside drifting bike. And outside drifting bike and karts will probably have a sucky time on a track like that. And that's not even... It's just not... It's kind of obvious. It's taking away from its functionality, I think, as a track. So, functionality, I might be harsh on this. It's gonna get a 4. I consider it just below average compared to some of the tracks that I have already played. I feel like it's not really up there. Playability. I don't know. Something about it doesn't feel like I wouldn't complain. I wouldn't complain, but I wouldn't be excited. But I'd be more on the complaining side than the excited side. So, can't get lower than a 5. Of course, what takes away from it is the ability to have those small issues that I mentioned in the functionality section. It takes away from your ability to want to replay it. Shortcuts are not obvious either, which isn't always a bad thing. But in this case, like, even the simplest of shortcuts are hard to see because of the dark theming. It is way too dark. Maybe even a bit of light. Like maybe like a light source every now and again would have been nice for it. Maybe it's a suggestion. But replayability, because I can't give it any more than any less than a 5, it's gonna get a 6. So that is all 4 races for the Mega Mushroom Cup. But before I do go, here is your guys' update on the top 5 Grand Prix that I played so far. You guys can see them right there. Aren't they looking fantastic? There's only 2 of them right now, obviously. And of course, here is your update on the top 5 tracks that I have played so far. And of course, they'll be updated too. You can actually see the top 5, because I've played 8 now, so there's 3 tracks that will not be in there. Which is not a bad thing. So, without any further ado, guys, I hope that you all have a lovely day. And take care. Of course, today's question is going to be, who is your favourite character in Mario Kart? Just in general, not really have to be meta picks or anything. Who's your favourite Mario Kart character? And what Mario Kart game do you feel that they are represented best in? But anyways, with that, this is the end of the episode, guys. I'll see you all in the next one with the next Grand Prix, which I can't guarantee when it'll be. It'll be when I have some free time. But we're going to get through all of this, I think. I really want to keep going with this. This is really fun to do. So, without further ado, guys, take care. Stay awesome, stay safe, stay safe, have a wonderful day, and I'll see you all in the next video. Toodaloo.